A's is transcendent. It's a place where you know what you're going to get, you know what you're coming in for, you know that the results are going to be amazing.
And we are live at Cardinal Hayes Memorial High School in the Bronx. A battle of New York Catholic League hoops as Cardinal Hayes will host the Ossining Lions, as both teams seeking their first victories of the season, coming in at 0-3 here on the Varsity Media Sports Network. Hello, everyone. So glad you could join us. Alongside Andrew Deloya, I'm Lance Meadow. And this is an interesting matchup, even though neither one of these teams has yet to win a game, because scoring is a similar issue that they're both trying to work out. They're both averaging under 60 points per game, Andrew, on the season. This is an Ossining team that is playing 3 games in the span of 3 days, down 2 prolific scorers, and a Cardinal Hayes team that did not have 3 of their regular starters in the lineup in their last game against Eagle Academy. So both teams looking to bounce back here.
Absolutely. The way Coach Lodes referred to it is they need to get their first field goal to get some points on the board. So, and then obviously for Ossining, they're playing man down a little bit today, and we'll get into that. But I think the first quarter is going to dictate the way this game's going to go.
And it should be quite the showdown. A lot of talent on both sides of the court between both of these teams, and that brings us to the impact players of the game. Let's take you through first the Ossining Lions, and Josh Smith is their sharpshooter, and he's somebody that they're going to lean on immensely to put the ball in the hoop. And then Mateo Taylor-Lowe, 6'4" senior, who is their main downhill guy. He can shoot the 3. He could also post up. An extremely versatile player who head coach Tyler Gallery goes way back with. He's been coaching him on and off at the AAU level since Mateo was in 6th grade. Let's head over to Cardinal Hayes. They're 2 impact players, and they are going to get both of these players back in the lineup after they did not start against Eagle Academy in their loss on Sunday. Bryce Yancey, he's got a knack for scoring. You see his numbers on the season. And then Amadou Barry, we spoke with Joe Lodes, their head coach. He said they've got to get him more touches on the interior because he should be able to put up even double those numbers so far on the season. And he could be an integral component for Cardinal Hayes today.
Absolutely. Both of those players, Coach highlighted them as impact players. Everybody knows about Malik Fields, and now let's see what Bryce Yancey and Amadou Barry can bring to the table today.
We had an opportunity to speak with both Joe Lodes, the head coach of Cardinal Hayes, as well as the head man for Ossining, Tyler Gallery. They walked us through what they're emphasizing in this contest. Andrew, why don't you take us through the keys to the game?
Sure. Ossining traveled down south. Obviously, he's looking for his young, big, energetic team to play with confidence and be unified, play for one another. And he wants his guys, if they get a shot up, to go after it. Best thing that can happen to them to hit those points that they need to get is to get some easy points off offensive rebounds. On the flip side, for Cardinal Hayes, they're averaging 18 turnovers per game, Lance, and I think that's something that Coach Lodes has probably been emphasizing in practice. So they need to take care of the basketball, rebound effectively on both ends, and then just like Ossining, they need to get some easy baskets. And the way Hayes does that, they do it in transition, Lance.
And you brought up the turnovers. They coughed it up 21 times in their loss Sunday to Eagle Academy, as Eagle Academy made them pay with over 20 points off of those mishaps. We are inching closer to tip-off here in the Bronx between Cardinal Hayes and Ossining out of Westchester as we step aside here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
My second base language was Spanish. La cultura es todo. La cultura de Cardinal Hayes define el éxito. What I just said right now is that when you think about a Hayesman, you think of excellence. Excellence is culture, and that's what we're about.
Now is a great time to book a sportscast with Varsity Media. What sets our sportscast apart isn't just the quality of our production, it's the knowledge, passion, and professionalism that our announcers bring to every game.
And here he comes again, off the backboard! Are you serious?
Daly tries another three. That one's good. One from the left corner, now from the right. Daly's on fire with 10 points in the opening quarter.
Loose ball, Keyshawn White has it. He's just going to let it fly. Oh! Keyshawn White from half court. That is cash. What a way to end the third quarter.
Our commentators research athletes and highlight storylines that matter to your communities. Our approach creates a broadcast experience that not only informs, but elevates the athletes, giving the kind of recognition usually reserved for professional levels. Varsity Media's announcers make sure that every athlete has their moment. So book a Varsity Media sportscast today, and let's get your team the recognition it deserves.
Hey parents, coaches, and players. Ever wonder what makes Varsity Media stand out as the tri-state leader in sports live streaming and videography?
If you're looking to optimize your sporting event, look no further than Varsity Media's coverage. Since working with them over the course of the past 4 years through the Elite 5 New York City Football Showcase, their coverage has helped take us to the top.
Varsity Media does an unbelievable job in terms of the broadcast, backgrounds on kids, do a great job of exposure from top to bottom. I couldn't really say anything negative. It's been a great couple of years that we've been working together, and it's just fantastic.
Well, I'll tell you, the fact that you guys are here has helped grow it, really. I mean, Varsity Media's been a good partner with us now for the last couple of years. That brings this game to a much broader audience.
The level of detail and that you go to, I mean, obviously the announcers, the camera angles, the slow motions, I mean, you feel like it's being covered by, ESPN.
If you'd like to book with Varsity Media, reach out at 516-403-2050 or email ben@varsitymedia.net.
And we are back here in the Bronx, Cardinal Hayes Memorial High School, as we are getting ready for the Cardinals to collide with the Lions out of Ossining. Both teams 0-3 on the season, and we had mentioned this off the top. This is going to be the second of 3 straight games in 3 days for Ossining. Yesterday, they lost to New Rochelle, 76-53. They're here today against Cardinal Hayes, and then tomorrow they're going to visit Scarsdale. So this is quite the stretch, and they are down Dante Couch, their 6'4" senior, who is one of their top players. He's out with a cold and a fever, nursing an illness, and then no Brody Wesniak, who went down with a wrist injury. He fractured his wrist in the first quarter of their season opener. So quite the firepower, Andrew, that they're going to be without.
Yeah, when you're without a player of Dante Couch's caliber and Brody Wesniak, you're starting the game man down. It does give opportunities for other guys to step up, and it's going to be interesting to see how they handle the pressure of being in a gym like Cardinal Hayes in the Bronx on the big stage.
Well, let's take you through the starting lineup for the Lions. We see they're going with Angel Tampus in the backcourt. Joining him is going to be Nick Serbone. He's filling in for Dante Couch. And then they'll have Dylan Bryant, Josh Smith, and Mateo Taylor-Lowe at their forward positions. A lot of length out of that group. All 3 of those players I just named are 6'4". Tyler Gallery, it's his first full season as the head man, but it's his second season because he took over as the interim coach a year ago. He's a graduate of Ossining in 2011, and he is born and raised in that town. So this program has meant a lot to him. Let's go over to the starting 5 for Cardinal Hayes. Now, they did not have Yancey, Almodovar, and Barry in the lineup in the last game. It was a coach's decision by Joe Lodi. So all 3 are back in the mix. Rounding out the group is Malik Fields and Christian Brown. And this will hopefully help stabilize what has been an in-and-out rotation thus far this season.
I mean, look, Hayes has played against high caliber in Stepanak, Eagle Academy, and Nazareth. So today could be the day where they break out of their slump.
As they are averaging 55 points per game. Ossining only at 45. Joe Lode's in his 17th season, a graduate of St. Francis Prep in 1993. He has done a fantastic job with this program. And Andrew, we were talking to him leading up to this game, and he wasn't downplaying the losses, but he says, listen, from my experience, I know December Late November, it's an adventure. It's a roller coaster. So he doesn't put an overwhelming amount of stock because we've seen in this league, it's really how you start playing in January and February that matters more.
Coach Lodes is a competitor. Of course, he's trying to win those games, but he has the big picture in mind of being there late February, March.
The officials, Steve Salustio, Mike Smolens, and Michael Carnaccio. As the opening tip will go to the Lions, as we have Tampus handling their point guard duties, and he just coughs up the basketball for an early turnover for Ossining.
You're going to see that sort of turnover in a game like this early on as players look to settle in and everyone gets a touch.
And it's interesting that he just coughed up the basketball because we were talking with Tyler Gallery, and he said he's the only guard on the roster that had no turnovers through the first 2 regular season games and their 3 scrimmages. So a rare occurrence as they go inside to the big man, Barry, and that's exactly what Joe Lodes wanted to see in terms of them packing into the paint.
There's the easy basket Coach Lodes was looking for.
And a steal is going to lead to underneath Fields to lay it in for a quick 4-0 spurt.
And back to the Tampus turnover, you jinxed him in the same way you were jinxing those free throw shooters the other night.
Not a jinx when you say it after the fact, so I would beg to disagree. And another steal, as this will lead to transition opportunity number 2. How about the 3rd time? And Barry is able to crash the offensive glass to give him 4 of his team 6.
It'll be interesting to see if Coach Gallery takes an early timeout to settle his guys down. If that basket went down, that would not have been a discussion.
Well,
but
Bryant,
I think if Hayes scores on this possession, I wouldn't be surprised if he uses one.
That was Dylan Bryant, who couldn't finish underneath. Barry is going to have it bounce his way. He's looking to finish inside. Fields there off the offensive glass, and they continue to crash it for perhaps a 3rd time, and they will reset here with Brown. And a good look from beyond the arc there for Yancey, as Ossining dodges a bullet. Still looking to get on the board here.
Nice rebound by Josh Smith on that end.
Here's Taylor Lowe. He's going to give it up to Serbone as they work it around the perimeter. Still in search of their first bucket. And Yancey picks the pocket of Tampus and takes it all the way with the finger roll. It's an 8-0 run to start this game.
And Yancey learned his lesson and laid the basketball in. In his first game of the season against Nazareth, he missed a dunk on a similar play. So I think Coach Lodes emphasized his point, and our man Yancey listens.
And that led to a 5-point swing in that game against Nazareth, so it was a critical stretch considering they wound up losing by 5 points.
Yeah, and to Yancey's credit, I mean, he was trying to make a play, and it just didn't work out for him.
And they're having trouble getting it in play as Brown's long hands got in the way of Taylor Lowe. We're going to have a substitution here early on as Kylan Brito will check in to replace Tampus. Brito, 5'8" senior.
Comes from a basketball lineage. His uncle's an assistant coach over at St. Francis Prep.
So he takes over ball handling duties and is going to get it to Serbone, who cashes it in to put Ossining on the board for the first time.
That was a beautiful kick out. Serbone had his feet set, backspin followed through rotation, and that looked really clean.
And Serbone is the son of Jason Serbone, who was on the hit HBO TV series The Sopranos. He played Jackie Aprile Jr. So for Sopranos fans, that should be a notable character who made quite the presence over the years. As the pull-up jumper is going to roll around the rim and in for Brito, and just like that, they're within 3.
Coach Gallery did a nice job not utilizing an early timeout. He was able to get the momentum flowing in his favor with a substitution.
Preach patience, and it's paid off because now a steal is going to set up another mid-range jumper, and Serbone hustles to grab the rebound. So here's Smith with the runner. And that is going to lead the attack back the other way for Brown, and good hands there by Brito to knock it loose, but they're going to get him with a personal.
You can see Christian Brown attacking the basket and drawing the foul. Now, for a shooter like Christian Brown, free throws early in the game, Lance, they're always important because it's just the feeling of seeing the ball going through the basket could get a shooter like Christian Brown comfortable and confident.
75% free throw shooter on the season, but he's only shooting 19% from the field and 15% from beyond the arc. And here he makes 1 of 2. So was last touched by the Cardinals. And we're seeing full court press here by Cardinal Hayes. And a good job by Ossining to break it down, but Brown cannot float it in. And then a rebound underneath is going to lead to a jump ball as Dylan Bryant was hesitant initially. And this is going to give Cardinal Hayes back the possession. Good interior defense there. The length of an Amadou Barry, who has been chipping in on both ends through the first few minutes of this game. And that is a big positive development for Cardinal Hayes as he turns and fires and connects.
And he can do that, Lance. He's got a really pure stroke. Coach Lodes is perfectly comfortable with him shooting 15-foot jumpers and even behind the arc. He has the green light.
Fields takes it away. Up ahead for an easy layup is Almodovar. And this transition game is cooking for Cardinal Hayes. Barry doing a nice job slowing down the rhythm of the half-court offense here. And a good hands to knock it away by Fields. Sorbonne, though, is going to take over with 13 on the shot clock. And it will eventually lead to a turnover as they could not handle the ball in the corner. That was Smith. So it's an 8-point lead for Cardinal Hayes. They have had leads in a few of their games this season, but it's just a matter of them finishing. That has been an issue come the fourth quarter. A backdoor cut by Fields, and he is going to earn a trip to the free throw line.
And the most notable lead was the lead they had against Stepanak at halftime. You see a great backdoor cut by Fields, perfect dime strike by Almodovar, and Fields draws the foul.
Foul went against Smith. His first and the team's second. So Fields this season, 58% from the line. He has scored in double figures in every game this season. He's had 2 20-plus contests and a pair of double-doubles, but he is scoring 38% of their points this season, just to put things in perspective. And Andrew, they're looking for a little bit more balance starting today.
Yeah, and a game like today could be the opportunity some of the other guys are looking for to get some of their point totals up and increase their confidence. I predict that Fields' free throw shooting percentage will be over 70% by the end of the year. I think it's just a small sample size. He's too good of a shooter not to be shooting 58%.
Well, he's adding to his tally the tip-in off the miss by Yancey, and Tyler Gallery wants to talk things over as Ossining takes a timeout here to regroup, trailing by 12, and their major issue has been turnovers thus far. As we look at what this Ossining team has done the last 3 seasons, they lost in the first round to Mount Vernon a year ago and then made it to the quarterfinals the previous 2 years, 12-9 each of those campaigns, and they finished at 10-11 a year ago.
Yeah, and Coach Gallery, when in our talks with him, was just talking about how he has such great young talent, and his line was, get us now. And so I think he's really looking to grow this group and see where he can take them. He's got a lot of passion and a lot of energy, so I wouldn't be surprised if it happens a little quicker than expected.
And they are also expected to get Wesniak back. He's expected to miss about 4 weeks with the wrist injury, so by the time the new year rolls around, they're hoping to welcome him back. And then, of course, Dante Couch is only out with an illness, so that's not a long-term issue there. But once they gain a little bit more chemistry, he's expecting this team to really start to click as Yancey gets his hands on it, and it's going to set up an opportunity here for Barry.
There's nothing more frustrating from a coaching perspective than when you come out of a timeout and immediately turn over the ball.
And this has been a problem, a lot of lost possessions for the Lions, and just about every single one of them, Cardinal Hayes has made them pay, and that is Taylor Lowe gliding to the bucket for his first basket, and Fields returning the favor with his first triple, as he now is up to 9 points.
Back to the other end, Josh Smith threw an absolute perfect pass on that back door for Ossining on the other end, but Fields answered pretty quickly on that one.
And with Sorbonne being inserted into the starting lineup for Couch, That is who Tyler Gallery is leaning on to try to contain Fields in this game, and he certainly has had his hands full thus far.
And I really like what Coach Gallery did by inserting Angel Tampus back into the game after those 2 early turnovers. He didn't bury him on the bench. He had a little chat with him, had the assistant speak to him, and now he's giving him an opportunity to grow against really good competition.
As Barry is going to lay it in off the feed from Brown, and that is the defense turning into offense as this full court press has swarmed the Lions in every aspect. As Smith is going to put it up from the corner, and there to grab the rebound is Almodovar, and he's immediately looking to push. Brown, can he get going? As the struggles continue, Serbone misfires on the pass to Smith, and that is yet another turnover for Ossining.
Yeah, and we always look, we spoke about it in one of the last broadcasts about the pace of play, and this is where Coach Loads wants it. He times this by 4, he's in the 80s. And obviously their defense has been pretty solid, holding them under 10 with 2 to go in the first quarter.
Well, they are looking to run and gun. They are not wasting any time and allowing Ossining to settle down in their half-court defense. This is a rare occurrence that we're actually seeing them working around the perimeter as Barry swishes it in, and he has been a man on a mission. He's got 9.
It's nice to see his confidence level rising as we speak. And that was a good job not fouling by Barry on that defensive possession, walling up and forcing a contested 2.
Kept his hand straight up on Bryant, excuse me, as Yancey can't connect from 3-point range. And Ossining just trying to settle down here with Taylor Lowe. And the long rebound is going to lead to a transition basket for Fields, who is now in double figures with 11. So 11 for Fields, 9 for Barry. They've combined for 20 of Cardinal Hayes' 27 points. And it is a 20-point advantage here, and yet another turnover. Almodovar. He'll slow things down and get it back in the corner. And a rebound is going to prevent an opportunity initially as Smith is gliding to the bucket. And that'll be a foul on Cardinal Hayes.
It was a really nice crossover dribble by Josh Smith about 30 feet away from the basket on Barry, which led to a foul.
So Smith, the junior, will head to the line.
You see here, nice crossover by Smith. It looked like who did they get on that foul? I wasn't able to see if it was Barry.
I believe it was Yancey.
Oh, they got Yancey cutting underneath.
Fronting him, yeah. Smith was called up from varsity as a sophomore. Didn't see much time, but playing a much larger role this year, and he's able to take advantage of both free throws.
One of the things that Coach Gallery emphasized was how much Josh Smith talks on the defensive end of the court, which is a really, really nice thing to see in this day and age. When you can get guys communicating on the court, it helps everyone.
Avian Rodriguez is in, replacing Almodovar for Cardinal Hayes. Is Joe Loads goes to the depth of his backcourt. We see Naz Campbell in as well, and Serbone tried to prevent a over and back violation, but it ultimately led to a turnover.
Now, most teams up in this situation would potentially hold for one shot. I'm not sure what Hayes is going to do. I have a feeling they're going to go.
Well, with the way that they've dictated the tone, they have not chosen to just play half-court offense, but here they're just trying to milk as much clock as possible before they look to take advantage of the final 10 seconds here.
Look for a high ball screen, a little ghost screen.
And it's going to be an offensive foul against Cardinal Hayes as Rodriguez was spinning across the screen.
Yeah, Suleiman Comas coming up to set a ball screen, and then he ghosted it. So they were looking to get him popping for a 3, and it just didn't work out on the play. So now we'll see what Ossining can do with 4 seconds remaining.
So here is Smith, sealed off by Campbell. He puts up the prayer, and that is going to do it for the first quarter of play, with Cardinal Hayes leading Ossining 27-9. And Amadou Barry doing a lot of the heavy lifting. He has been a menace in the paint as Fields gets the steal, and then they work it around for him to lay it in, and then showing his three-point range as Barry cashing it in with 9 points in quarter number 1, as it is a sizable lead for Cardinal Hayes on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports.
Cardinal Hayes saved my life. There's a school that gave me the second chance. I want all families to understand the investment that you're making in your life. This is a place in which you walk in as a little boy and come out as a man. One thing I can guarantee you is education. One thing I can guarantee you is that he will go to college, but one thing that I can guarantee you the most, that I'm most proud of, is of the man that he will become in the day of tomorrow. Up Hayes and all its loyal men.
Back here in the Bronx, Cardinal Hayes Memorial High School, the site, as the Cardinals with a sizable 27-9 lead over Ossining, and it has been the swarming pressure defense that has created multiple turnovers, and they're not hesitating. They're pushing the tempo, and it has been very hard for the Lions to get back and slow them down.
I know we mentioned it early. Coach said he's looking for them to get their first field goal. Well, they got 9 of those field goals for 27 points. And when we spoke to Coach Loads early in the season, Lance, this is the vision he had for this team, creating turnovers and running transition.
Yeah, the Mike D'Antoni school of thought. Do not use more than 3 seconds to get a bucket, as Cone is able to glide through the heart of the Ossining defense.
It was a really nice finish by Cone, shielding the basketball and finishing around the rim.
And another turnover is going to give Rodriguez perhaps an alley, and out of control, he gives it up to Romero, and the helter-skelter play continues. One mishap to another. Cone, off the double clutch, has back-to-back buckets. It has been a very difficult time for Ossining to break down this press. And even when they do, just as we saw, they wind up losing the basketball, as Cone will lead the charge back the other way. Bird from the corner, overshoots it, but a chance for Rodriguez from the opposite side. And Brandon Bird is going to grab another offensive rebound to draw a foul against Ossining.
And Lance, one of the things that Ossining is facing is that Cardinal Hayes has a deep bench to begin with, and they're playing man down without Couch and Wesniak. So it's a really difficult situation for them to be in, because Hayes is coming in with fresh legs, and these guys are pressing just like the first group did.
Yeah, not as much size as Cardinal Hayes, and also the one thing that Tyler Gallery talked about is his team needs to do a better job embracing city ball, as Campbell just weaves through traffic for the lay-in. He has started his own league in Ossining to get more opportunities for Westchester players to play city players, because there's just a certain philosophy that city players bring to the court that you don't necessarily see in Westchester, and he wants to get more of his players exposed to that, especially in the offseason.
Yeah, and Bob Hurley Sr., the legendary coach from St. Anthony's, Jersey City, always spoke about playing against older guys. And it's the same sort of philosophy. When you play against city players, you have to make quicker decisions, and you have to be tough.
As Bird has been very active with his first mid-range jumper there.
Yeah, Bird has not been shy since he entered the game.
And Bird's father played for Cardinal Hayes when Tom Murray, the legend, was the head coach.
And Tom Murray, over 40 years at the helm, over 586 wins.
As Brito's jumper falls short, and Bird looking to push up ahead to Campbell, and Bird is there to follow. But Taylor Lowe able to clean it up as they kick it out to Gus Boccio, who just checked in. And Taylor Lowe unable to capitalize, with Bryant giving it back to him, and it'll be free throws coming up for Mateo.
Taylor Lowe did a great job flashing to the basketball and sticking with it on this play.
We got a player down here for Cardinal Hayes right in front of their bench. So Joe Lodes and the training staff attending. Hard to make out the number. Not sure if it may have been Sam. And it is. It's 31 Czech Sam, who is being attended to by the training staff in the corner, as Taylor Lowe will head to the line for the first time. A player that is just so thankful to be healthy this season, as he was sidelined by multiple injuries a year ago. He had a fractured ankle, then he broke 2 fingers, so his year was disrupted, but they're happy to have him back in the mix, and he clearly is a guy that they have had to lean on, given Couch and Wesniak being unavailable.
Yeah, and he has a long-term relationship through basketball with Coach Gallery that goes all the way back to 6th grade, Lance. So there's a continuity there, and I think Coach Gallery is expecting big things from the senior this year. Ossining snapped into a zone. Looks like a 2-3 zone.
Quick spontaneous passes, able to break it down as Campbell goes in and out on that three-pointer, and it'll stay with the Cardinals.
I like that move by Coach Gallery, just to try to chop up the tempo a little bit, maybe force some outside shots that could lead to long rebounds and maybe a couple easy baskets for Ossining to get things going.
Especially since they've had trouble running with them every step of the way, as Rodriguez's 3 rebounded by Bryant. And Ossining is able to draw a foul as Rodriguez is able to swipe the hand of Bochia.
Haven't even noticed the officials today, Lance, which is always a good sign.
There's Taylor Lowe, one-on-one on Bird. As you see, even their man-to-man defense has been in perfect position, Cardinal Hayes. Brito around the screen, can't bank it in. And we're going to get a foul off the rebound by Emmanuel Romero.
Yeah, I thought if Brito maybe took one extra dribble there, he could have been in for a layup. He kind of got caught in no man's land and had to put up a floater off the glass.
Yeah, we're going to see a fresh set of 5 come in as the starters will return for Cardinal Hayes. And we have seen Joe Lodes do this before, where he'll rotate similar to a hockey line change. Keeps guys fresh and very much in the thick of the game.
Well, it's also difficult with a point spread like this. He has to get his starters minutes because they have to develop game experience and continuity heading into the league season.
As Brown knocks down that jumper, and that is a good sign for him, given his struggles in the first 3 games. You mentioned earlier, just needs to see the ball go in the hoop, and that's exactly what happened there.
Yeah, Lance, I wouldn't be surprised if we're looking at a box score at some time in the season. You'll see Christian Brown has over 30 points in a game.
All he needs to do is get hot. He has that long-range ability, as Yancey can't connect. And can Ossining slow things down here after a defensive stop and try to get their offense back on track? That is not going to do it, as Yancey leads the 3-on-3 break, and Fields can't finish on the bunny, but Brown will give him a second chance. Fields from the corner, as he has cooled off after a very strong start. And now Motivar knocks it away from Brito. It will stay with the Lions, as we'll see Serbone return, and taking his seat is Bochia. And that is going to lead to yet another turnover off the intended handoff between Serbone and Taylor Lowe. And while we don't have an official tally, I will comfortably say that they have more turnovers than points and made field goals in this contest right now.
I would agree with that assessment, and credit to Coach Gallery for coming down here to play against a team of this caliber that plays this type of defense, because it'll bode well for his league schedule.
That was the second three for Barry, who is proving that he's more than just a back-to-the-bucket type of player, and Fields is a little too over-aggressive there. He's going to be charged with the personal.
To your point on Barry, he scored at all three levels. He scored around the basket. He had some nice shots from around 15 feet, and then we saw his three-point range on that last possession.
And he has been calling for the basketball. Wants additional touches, and he's making the most of his opportunities, clearly, in this contest.
Aiden John with the ball.
Tyler Gallery mentioned that he was going to play just about everybody on the roster because he wants to develop his group. As Serbone coughs it up. Here's Brown muscling his way to the bucket. They're going to wave it off. As there was contact in the midst of that dribble penetration. And that was a push-off as Brown utilized his guide hand for leverage.
Lance, I was so impressed with Coach Gallery's passion and desire to raise the level of this program in our pregame call.
Yeah, he clearly has great command of his roster, and his players feed off of that. This is a man that, it's cliche to say it, but he lives, breathes, and sleeps basketball. This is what he wanted to do, and he set his sights on it and has delivered as Serbone can't connect. And another transition hoop, and Serbone has no choice but to grab Yancey, and they are going to count that bucket plus the foul, but no, now they're going to wave it off. They're going to say that it was on the floor, as we'll take another look here to see if it was a continuation.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good job by Serbone to make contact before Yancey could get the shot off. At the next level, at the college level, at the pro level, that probably would have been an N1. But the high school level, Serbone did the right thing and took some points off the board, especially with Ossining not being in the bonus.
Because that was awfully close of him being in position to elevate as Serbone grabbed him. Here's Fields straight away. And we have contact underneath. It was Barry and Bryant boxing out. They're going to get Bryant on the personal.
Back to Coach Gallery, Lance. I mean, he's got so much experience at the AAU level with the Gauchos and the Long Island Lightning, and then obviously his investment in his own community. I mean, he's an Ossining guy.
Yeah. Well, we mentioned starting that league where he gives an opportunity for his own players and city players to come out to Westchester to collide.
I believe he calls it Not Upstate,
which has a nice flavor and flair to it, given the location. I know the upstate term is a sensitive issue for some New Yorkers, specifically those that, as a city slicker, would refer to the area above the city as upstate. But you talk to people from Buffalo, it's Western New York and this and that, and we could spend years going over the ins and outs of the languages. Fields is going to lead the break, and he's going to take it himself and lay it in to add to his double-figure total. And Tempest denied by Barry. A great pass up ahead to Brown here. And Fields will wisely kick it out. The extra pass to Yancey. And they're going to get Fields on the reach-in on Taylor Lowe.
You know, Ossining, Lance, is a program with a history of great basketball. So I do think he's going to get this going with his passion and development of young players. I mean, you got guys like Obi Toppin and Jacob Toppin in the NBA. Obi Toppin with the Pacers, first-round pick of the New York Knicks. His younger brother Jacob, who plays for the Hawks. You got guys like Ja'Kai Robinson, who played at the University of Miami and is now, and then finished at Bryant. And then Kenny Horton, longtime overseas pro, played at Central Connecticut State. So if he's invested in the community and he's passionate about developing the program, it's going to happen.
As Taylor Lowe is now 0 for 3 from the free throw line. And that is his first make out of 4 attempts.
See, it works the other way, too.
Sometimes.
So Taylor Lowe should come over to you at halftime and thank you for that free throw.
Absolutely, as Barry doesn't have to thank me for that. He's been doing it all by himself. As he is up to 14 points in this game, 9 coming in the first quarter.
Barry's the type of high school player that as soon as he graduates, you immediately steal him and put him on your men's league team. Because he can compete with men right now.
At 6'9", and with that frame, he's not going to have a problem at all. And also the ability to shoot from the outside like Brown is trying to do. And it's rebounded and taken away by Cardinal Hayes as Yancey stuffs it home, and this time flushes it with authority.
I'm happy that went down for him. You know he can do it, and that's the right time for him to do it.
As Taylor Lowe gets a quick bucket. Here's Barry. He hit 2 threes already in this game. The crowd was on its feet. Energetic to see him deliver again, and that is going to do it for the first half of action, with Cardinal Hayes in command 49-12, thanks to Amadou Barry, who led the way with 14 points, and Fields balancing him out in double figures as well, as Cardinal Hayes looking to notch its first victory of the season and up comfortably here at the break. We are joined by the head coach of the Cardinals, Joe Lodes. And Joe, the transition opportunities that your press defense has created, how critical was that in terms of setting the tone in the first 2 quarters?
It would help if I put the microphone down. I'm an amateur. Right?
We want to hear you in some capacity.
I'm like the Mets organization right now after they don't re-sign Pete Alonso. How did not re-sign Pete Alonso?
But your team doesn't look like the Mets, I'll tell you that.
No. That doesn't happen in the Bronx. We kept
looks
Peter.
like UNLV today, Coach.
Absolutely.
You know, we're moving the ball. That we like to play up and down. We like to play fast. You know, we didn't shoot it great, but we played with a lot of energy on the ball. We're flying around the court. I tell our guys that after North Carolina won the NCAA tournament, and the next year they started 0-3. So I said, we're right on track. We're right where we need to be. We got everybody surrounded.
Now, Coach, obviously in a game like this, when you have a 37-point lead in halftime, it's a little different than the first 3 games that you've played with, that intense battles that were close. What is your goal for the second half for your team to continue to develop and get better headed into the next block of games?
That's what I'm going to go in and talk to them about. What can we improve on? So let's talk on defense. We don't do a lot of talking on defense. We don't do a lot of boxing out. Everybody wants to rebound and push the ball. So we're going to run some offense. We're going to pressure the ball. We're going to try to communicate a little bit better on defense. Communication is key, right? It's like a marriage, right? Communication is key.
Joe, before we let you go, one of the things I know you talked about was getting Barry touches and getting him involved early. How nice was it for him to really get involved both inside and out and be a prolific scorer for you in the first half?
You know, he's got a real nice touch for a big guy. He can shoot the ball. He's got a really nice stroke. He doesn't even realize how good he can be. You know, he's got soft hands. He's got a soft touch. And when he's shooting the ball, he gets really confident. He gets happy. When he gets touches, he's involved. If you don't throw him the ball, he don't want to play defense, I'll tell you that. But he's played well so far today.
And all smiles as a result. Well, Joe, we appreciate the time, and best of luck in the second half.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You got it. Our pleasure with Cardinal Hayes up big, 49-12 over Ossining. We look at some of the highlights. It was the run-and-gun offense that Joe talked about, with Malik Fields getting involved and Barry with the block, and how about Brown getting out there in front, and then Barry fed inside, rewarded for his defensive tenacity. It was one turnover after another, and Yancey with an exclamation point. A 49-12 lead. Cardinal Hayes up big at the break on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching Varsity Media, New York's high school sports network.
We live in a community in which every other option is available except the right option. And this school became the right option for me. My mom said to me, all I want from you is for you to graduate from St. Patrick's Cathedral. Y gracias a Dios, en el clase de 2017, yo me caminé en el San Patricio y vi los ojos de mi madre. Yo llorando la abracé y le dije gracias por esta oportunidad.
Now is a great time to book a sportscast with Varsity Media. What sets our sportscast apart isn't just the quality of our production, it's the knowledge, passion, and professionalism that our announcers bring to every game.
And here he comes again. Off the backboard! Are you serious?
Daly tries another three. That one's good. One from the left corner, now from the right. Daly's on fire with 10 points in the opening quarter.
Loose ball, Keyshawn White has it. He's just going to let it fly. Oh! Keyshawn White from half court. That is cash. What a way to end the third quarter.
Our commentators research athletes and highlight storylines that matter to your communities. Our approach creates a broadcast experience that not only informs, but elevates the athletes, giving the kind of recognition usually reserved for professional levels. Varsity Media's announcers make sure that every athlete has their moment. So book a Varsity Media SPORTSCAST today, and let's get your team the recognition it deserves.
For the latest news in high school sports, be sure to check out varsitymedia.net or follow us on social media at Varsity Media. Hey parents, coaches, and players. Ever wonder what makes Varsity Media stand out as the tri-state leader in sports live streaming and videography?
If you're looking to optimize your sporting event, look no further than Varsity Media's coverage. Since working with them over the course of the past 4 years through the Elite 5 New York City Football Showcase, their coverage has helped take us to the top.
Varsity Media does an unbelievable job in terms of the broadcast, backgrounds on kids, do a great job of exposure from top to bottom. I couldn't really say anything negative. It's been a great couple of years that we've been working together, and it's just fantastic.
Well, I'll tell you, the fact that you guys are here has helped grow it, really. I mean, Varsity Media has been a good partner with us now for the last couple of years. That brings this game to a much broader audience.
The level of detail and that you go to, I mean, obviously the announcers, the camera angles, the slow motions, I mean, you feel like it's being covered by, ESPN.
If you'd like to book with Varsity Media, reach out at 516-403-2050 or email ben@varsitymedia.net.
You've seen the dedication, the long hours, the early mornings, the sacrifice. You know your athlete has what it takes, but how do you make sure the right people see it? The recruiting process isn't easy. Coaches are flooded with highlights, but how do you stand out in the crowd? At Varsity Media, we specialize in creating game-changing ISO videos, high-definition, athlete-focused footage that highlights exactly what college recruiters want to see. With our up-close ISO video, we capture your athlete's key moments. No more wide angles showing other players. This is just your athlete's pure, raw talent. This is more than a video. This is the opportunity your athlete deserves. Give your athlete the edge they need. Make the right impression with Varsity Media's ISO video service. The future starts now.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for upcoming schedules and content, and on social media at Varsity Media.
Now is a great time to book a sportscast with Varsity Media. What sets our sportscast apart isn't just the quality of our production, it's the knowledge, passion, and professionalism that our announcers bring to every game.
It's Merrill. Oh, look at a fake by Merrill. There's the spin again. Gary Merrill is not human. Touchdown, St. Anthony. Profeta! 1-0, Garden City.
Our commentators research athletes and highlight storylines that matter to your communities. Our approach creates a broadcast experience that not only informs, but elevates the athletes, giving the kind of recognition usually reserved for professional levels. Varsity Media's announcers make sure that every athlete has their moment. So book a Varsity Media SPORTSCAST today, and let's get your team the recognition it deserves.
Merrill towards the end zone. Lost his lid. Touchdown! touchdown!
JJ Damo, face on, stay on athlete, controlling the face-off X 3 in a row now.
For all the latest Varsity Media updates, including our game schedules, be sure to follow us on social media at Varsity Media, the home for New York high school sports.
Back here in the Bronx, Cardinal Hayes Memorial High School, 49-12. Cardinals leading the Lions out of Ossining as Amadou Barry had a team-high 16 points in the first half. We saw him hit multiple three-pointers. That inside-outside game was extremely effective. But, Andrew, as we see some of these highlights, it was all about the defense and setting up one transition bucket after another.
Yeah, defense led to offense, and throughout the entire first half, Hayes was extremely unselfish, as you saw in that last possession. And then you see the future of Cardinal Hayes on the court right there, Lance.
That's Almodovar, who perhaps is trying to carry over his point guard skill set to the next generation of players, as you mentioned.
Acting as a role model.
Almodovar did not play in the last game due to a coach's decision, but he, Yancey, Barry, all back in the lineup, and it seems as if they've responded.
Pretty good coach's decision having them play today.
No doubt about that, as all of them have filled up the stat sheet nicely in the first half. And we heard from Joe Lodes at the break, and he said point of emphasis in the second half, get guys talking a little bit more on defense and active and so forth. And you can still work on the little things. You can refer to this as a coach yourself, that even though it looks like you're in cruise control, no reason why either the bench or the starters can't try to polish some of the things that could pop up in other games this season.
Well, it's a big challenge for Coach Lodes to keep his guys focused and on point heading into the second half. The last thing you want in a non-league game is to take a step backwards and get a little bit sloppy. Coach Lodes wants to see his team execute. He wants to see them share the ball, run some offense, wants them to continue their defensive pressure, as he mentioned to us at halftime. And that's a challenge in a game where you have a 37-point lead. On the flip side, you want to see how Ossining, with their young talent, responds to this type of situation. And you want to see them playing through that final whistle.
Just 12 points for them in the first half. Fields a contested jumper. Barry with one hand is able to secure the rebound, and Brown the quick release with Taylor Lowe there for the rebound. Well, there was a game this season, Ossining only scored 32 points against Mamaroneck, and we talked to Tyler Gallery, and he said we got our butts handed to us, and that's the PG-13 version of what he said, as that jumper is going to fall through for Yancey.
Yeah, Coach was really impressed with Mamaroneck. He called them a well-oiled machine, and that program is on autopilot. They have a system, and they utilize their system, and Coach Gallery, tipped his hat to them, and I wouldn't be surprised if in the next couple of years teams are saying that about Ossining.
But he was also pleased with how his team put that game behind them, moved on. Short memory, and that's exactly what you have to adopt, especially when you're playing 3 games in 3 days, as Yancey is wide open off the feed from Fields. So this is an offense that came in averaging 55 points per game. They've got 54 on the board early here in the third quarter already. As Brown lets it fly. And Fields strong on the glass and pushes it through for his first bucket in the second half. So he is up to 17 and now leads all scorers. So think about that. Fields and Barry each have more points than Ossining in total. As Brown leads the 3-on-2 break, Yancey spots up. And Barry there for another rebound and a putback to give him 18 points. And we're going to have a timeout here, as this will give Ossining a chance to regroup. As you see, Yancey was wide open and Barry just a monster inside. So a quick timeout for the Lions, as they now still have to deal with this full court press by Cardinal Hayes, as Almodovar knocks it away from Tampus, but is going to stay with Ossining. As they lead Romero to the bucket. And Fields, who already has 2 double-doubles this season, is trying to work on another. And Barry having a field day underneath with now 20 points on the game. Barry came in averaging 6.5 per contest through just 2 of the 3 games he played. Difficult shot for Smith. Taylor Lowe there for the rebound.
What I like about Barry today is not only is he scoring, Lance, but he's doing some of the little things. He's playing really good defense on the ball, contesting shots, and he's active. And if he can be consistent on those aspects of the game, it's going to be really, really good for Coach Lodes and Cardinal Hayes.
Well, Joe talked about how he's a completely different player, to your point, Andrew, when he's that much more engaged in the contest. And I think you just saw a different energy from him today. And he has been able to feed off of that, as Romero cannot handle the bullet from DeMar Brickhouse, the sophomore guard, who provides complimentary minutes off the bench for the Lions. Is Fields looking for Barry, and Barry just continues to establish his presence down low underneath. He's got 6 points here in the second half and 22 on the game. And the one thing, if you're Joe Lodes, that you've got to be pleased with, Andrew, is Taylor Lowe, unable to get it to roll his way, is look at the man-to-man intensity on the defensive end, even with his team leading by 50 points right now.
Yeah, they're active, their hands are active, their feet are active, they're in a stance, they're communicating, they're doing all the things that Coach wanted them to do.
Pull-up jumper by Brito. It has just been one of those afternoons for the Lions. Fields spots up, and he's going to be fouled upon that release for a triple, which means he's going to go to the line for 3 opportunities.
Yeah, you could see Fields got his feet set on the kick out, and both of the Ossining defenders were a little late on their closeout and sort of came underneath him as he landed.
They got Brito with the personal. That's his 3rd. So Fields is 2 for 2 from the line. We mentioned earlier 58% on the season.
Now, Lance, I have to mention that Dylan Butler did chime in about the upstate conversation, and his opinion is that everything above Albany is upstate. I just think he wanted us to communicate that on air.
So the unwritten rule that Dylan Butler has adopted or heard from the powers that be. I just know that this is a very sensitive issue for natives of Buffalo. If you refer to them as being members of upstate, it's a very touchy-feely conversation. I speak of that from personal experience and also as an observer from afar. But see, as a native of New York City, everything to me outside of the 5 boroughs, I consider upstate.
I get it. You're one of those guys.
I am.
I get it.
That's my hardline position, and I will battle everybody, especially the non-New York Cityites, okay, who don't call one of the 5 boroughs home. And I think I have good backing here in the Bronx, as I can have the full support, even though I'm not a native of the Bronx. But I think arm in arm with Brooklyn, we can build some unison here.
Can I put an exclamation point on this conversation so we can get back to the game?
I don't know. I'm actually finding this a fascinating conversation.
All I know is that buffalo wings with blue cheese and celery, is awesome. That's it. That's all I want to say.
Okay, I'm glad that you were able to throw that in. I'm not so sure whether or not that has any influence on the upstate debate, as Fields was called for the foul here. And that is why we see Brickhouse going to the line. Went for a high five with Brickhouse on that play. As Brickhouse is a player that Tyler Gallery, their head coach, refers to as somebody that has New York City grit, even though clearly he plays in Westchester because he's taken part of a lot of summer leagues. He's been at Dykeman, he's been at Rucker Park, so there's a toughness that he brings to this team as he makes one of two.
Yeah, and he comes from a basketball family. His uncle Daquan played at Peekskill High School, and he's got one of the better basketball names out there. I mean, DeMar Brickhouse is a great basketball name.
Well, it yells basketball in terms of the terminology. However, not as a point of contention with you, Andrew, so I don't want you to read too much into this, but from a purist standpoint, I don't know if brick is something that you'd want to promote in terms of the skill set, at least.
No, I agree with you on that, and it does give the opposing fans something to chant and
material to work with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And DeMar did a nice job from the free throw line. He was synthetic acrylic and not brick.
No doubt about it. To keep the skeptics away from gaining any momentum. Barry's got a boatload of momentum, but he's not going to add to that as Smith is able to secure the rebound. Just 1 point put up here in the third quarter for Ossining.
And Coach Loge is bringing in his hockey substitution.
But before he does that, Malik Fields beats up the rim for another easy bucket.
Both Fields and Yancey have just great athletic ability to play above the rim, and they're just highly skilled players.
And that is going to be a backcourt violation on Brito, and that may be the microcosm to best explain what is going on in this game for, unfortunately, the Lions.
Well, Coach Gallery's the type of coach. He's going to look at it. He's got his arm around Brickhouse as we speak. He's going to use everything that's taking place on the court as a teaching tool. He's going to use the film. He's teaching. He's not yelling. They're not screaming. They understand what they're up against, and he's got a bigger picture in mind. So I give Coach Gallery, Coach Smith, and Coach Archibald a lot of credit for coming to Cardinal Hayes, playing against a team of this caliber, and utilizing it as a learning tool.
As Cone swishes it through, the bench just adding to the firepower of the starting five for Cardinal Hayes as Cone is up to 7.
And you see Cardinal Hayes in a 2-3 zone, which is a good thing for Ossining as well. They get to go against the zone look as they work on their zone offense. And for Coach Loge, it gives him a chance to experiment with the zone if he ever wants to use it in a big game after a timeout as the ball comes our way.
Gives him some options in his back pocket, depending if he wants to switch things up moving forward in the season. One of the other things that I wanted to get back to, you brought up Tyler Gallery and his big picture perspective in terms of using this as something that can maybe help them in the long run. But one thing that he pointed out when we had a very engaging conversation with him is he pointed out this program has not won a sectional title in 50 years. He did not hold back on that, and he said, as he was going through the roster, as we have a foul underneath, that all of these players that he's brought in and he's grooming, he says, hey, 2 years from now, this kid's going to be a reason why we actually break that lengthy drought.
Yeah, he had a positive thing to say about every player on his roster, and it was just so nice to hear that he has a vision and he's committed and cares about these kids, and it was a really interesting conversation.
So this is Romero's first free throw opportunities on the young season. Played on JV last year, and now getting an opportunity with his number called upon, and he's going to be 2 for 2.
I have to tell you, he had a little bit of a lefty Chris Mullen type stroke on those free throws.
Another city slicker who went to Severian before he went on to St. John's and then the NBA with the Golden State Warriors, a member of the 1992 Dream Team. We'll have to find out where he lands on the upstate debate perhaps at a later time. As Ossining trying to get its first field goal of the second half. And how about Brandon Bird and how aggressive he's been on the glass, as Cone off the long rebound is going to trail on this play, and there is the first made field goal of the second half coming in the form of Kylan Brito.
Great job by Kylan Brito. He heard the footsteps, but did not let it affect his finish.
And Bird quickly responds on the other end.
When you watch Bird play, he's active. Right now he's talking, he's got his hands up, he's engaged. Look for great things from Bird this season. If he keeps working at that level, good things are going to happen.
Cone continues to hustle, and that is what you call an early exclamation point by Suleiman. As they're all over the place, the Cardinals. In the paint, on the wing, Aiden John thinking about the release. And the long tap out goes to Rodriguez. Here's Campbell, and that's a tomahawk. So they are beating up the rims from every angle as Serbone puts a little bit too much on that one, and you can see every rebound is leading to a quick outlet pass. Rodriguez in and out. And somehow Aiden John came down with it in that pile, and he was able to draw the foul. So there is 10 seconds to go in the third.
I'm not sure if he's aware of the clock.
Campbell's gonna have to put this up, and he does right at the buzzer, but they're gonna wave it off, and they're gonna say he did not release it in time. So Naz Campbell will not get credit for that triple. It would be interesting to see whether or not it would have counted upon another look, as Joe Loads just smiling ear to ear. I don't know if he's gonna stress out over having one last basket in a game like this. Now, we're gonna have the three officials confer here at center court, but right now they are holding off on that basket counting, with the score being 77-15. As we take a look at one that we know is gonna count. Malik Fields in transition, and then Suleiman Cone says, anything you could do, I could do better, but wait, the trifecta. Naz Campbell also making his presence felt in a 77-15 lead on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
This is Jalen Brunson, you're watching Varsity Media.
The core of what we do is informed by our Catholic faith.
Faith is something that permeates the building.
I would say a majority of our students are not Catholic.
I myself am not a practicing Catholic.
Even though the kids may not be Catholic, they're being formed by those character building values that come from the Gospels, that come from what Jesus taught us.
We really leaned into our faith and our perseverance. Up Hayes and all its loyal men.
Back here in the Bronx, Cardinal Hayes High School, with the Cardinals outscoring Ossining 28-3 in that third quarter, as they have looked extremely impressive on the offensive end, off transition hoops. And you can see even in their half-court defense, Rodriguez, great hustle to save it to Campbell. And here's Bird on the baseline. And Ossining dodges a bullet there, but Rodriguez gives them yet another opportunity.
I'm really impressed with Rodriguez's overall game, his feel of the game, his ability to see the court.
Well, there has been no drop-off for Joe Loads, no matter which five he's had in this game. And Bird, again, crashing the glass. And the reason why Bird is also getting his number called is because they're down Saleh Atariwa, the 6'7 junior. Believe it or not, he had a dental emergency earlier today. His wisdom teeth needed to be pulled. They started to bother him. So that's why Bird, you're seeing a lot more being the complement to Barry.
And Bird's taking full advantage of the opportunity. When you're missing a guy like Saleh Atariwa, it's a big void to fill. I mean, with a Division I athlete with strength and force, and Bird's doing a nice job filling in that spot. You know, Lance, in the first half, we mentioned some of the premier players ever to come out of Ossining High School. And, you know, you have to talk about some of the guys that have come out of Cardinal Hayes, guys like Jamal Mashburn, Kentucky, Kevin Lowry, Boston College, Damon Lopez, Fordham. Yeah, and then obviously in the recent history, you got Ian Jackson at St. John's, Elijah Moore, Syracuse, Toby Awaka, Arizona, Adam Najee at Dayton, and Tariq Foster, Albany. And then when you look at the banner behind the Cardinal Hayes, you see that they just put up that 1,000-point club banner about a week ago. And you can see it there. You got guys like Joey Toussaint from Iowa, 1,000 points. Sidibe, Fairfield, 1,000 points. Toby Awaka, Newkirk, Jenkins, and Williams. There's just such a rich history of basketball here at Cardinal Hayes. And a lot of scores, like a lot of the scores we're seeing today.
As Brito was able to drop in that tray, a very difficult shot right in front of his own bench. Jackson, before he ended up at St. John's, was at North Carolina briefly.
Yep.
And he is one of those names that you mentioned is on that banner. Here's Cone, and he's going to match wits with Brito as the three's starting to fly. The second triple for Suleiman Cone, who now is up to 12 points in double figures. Rodriguez, the alley, but the oop can't be finished by Cone, and Birds follow off the mark. It's highlight reel time, maybe, for Rodriguez, as he was prevented from getting a clear path to the bucket. As we see, Cone a little too hard, and then Bird was able to crash the glass. And then Rodriguez came in. As we look at Rodriguez at the line, he comes in without any attempts. So this is his first two of the young season. And Rodriguez starts off on a strong note at the free throw line.
Now against a high 2-3 like Cardinal Hayes is playing against Ossining, the best place to get the ball is the high post so that you can turn, look, and attack the basket or kick it out to open shooters. Look for Lowe to get open there.
Well, here's Taylor Lowe, loses the ball, and a clear path for Cone, who has just been attacking the rim with authority all throughout the second half. And yet another turnover. Bird is looking to work the transition game as he sets up Cone for back-to-back buckets. And another timeout taken here by Ossining as Cardinal Hayes knocking on the door of the century mark with 86 points. And coming up on December 16th, we will be back here in the Bronx. It will be Cardinal Hayes hosting Mount St. Michael. An early tip-off, 4 p.m. Eastern. And you, of course, can watch it right here on the Varsity Media Sports Network. Head to youtube.com/Varsity Media. As we look at Bird with the takeaway, and that 3-on-1 break leads to another easy chance for Cone. You mentioned, Andrew, some of the notable basketball players from Cardinal Hayes, but the richness of the alumni goes well beyond just this hardwood. You're talking about former NFL offensive lineman Willie Colon went here. He played for the Steelers and the Jets. And then you get the who's who of entertainment. Longtime legendary TV host Regis Philbin went to Cardinal Hayes. And I believe there is an auditorium named after him, if I'm not mistaken, within this school. Richard Mulligan, maybe the older crowd would be familiar with him. He was on a TV series, Empty Nest, which was on NBC. And then George Carlin, the well-known late great comedian. And then, not that I'm saving the best for last, but it doesn't get better in terms of the film industry than Martin Scorsese.
Unbelievable.
So this has been quite the school in the Bronx that knows how to churn them out. Now, when Upstate matches wits with that laundry list, maybe we can adjust the line of demarcation being Albany. We'll have to consult with our very own Dylan Butler to see whether or not he would agree, as Campbell well off the mark. But here is yet another second chance, and they are continuing to spread the wealth as Rodriguez is the recipient of a wide open shot, and the hustle pays off because it's going to stay with the Cardinals. So 5 minutes to go in this one. And remarkably, Cardinal Hayes has held Ossining to under 20 points. Campbell on the dribble penetration and the strong finish as he absorbed some contact along the way.
Niles Campbell is just one of those players that does all the dirty work for Hayes. He's a tough player. He's not afraid to attack the basket, and he's a very, very active defender.
Yeah, Joe Lodes referred to him as a glue guy and enforcer, as Butler is able to beat Cardinal Hayes interior to the spot for his first bucket of the game.
That was an old school drop step by Butler with an old school shot fake before the finish. Very, very nicely done on the interior.
And Butler, important to note once again, we mentioned this off the top of the broadcast, he's been banged up as of late. He suffered a wrist injury yesterday against New Rochelle. So he told the coaching staff, listen, I want to play through it, but clearly not 100%. And he is a player that they look at as a key scorer, described as an absolute dog is the terminology that Tyler utilized. And they could not save that underneath. That was Manuel Romero. But, you know, not having him fully healthy clearly has impacted the outlook of this team today as well, as Serbone lets it fly. We see Layden Brown is in for the first time for Cardinal Hayes, and Bird gets wrapped up underneath, so he is going to shoot a pair.
Yeah, and Ossining was coming into this game man down on top of that with the absence of Dante Couch, which we mentioned earlier, and Brody Wesniak. So when they get those players back, with the experience that the players on the court got tonight, it's going to be a net plus.
Because we're not talking about them losing complementary players, Andrew. We're talking about three integral pieces of their starting rotation.
Yeah, and Coach Gallagher has the right attitude about it. He's using this as a developmental tool. Well, in that case, going against this type of defense, this type of pressure, and getting players experience at the same time is extremely valuable.
And also, he talked about the fact that they're not going to get a chance to come out here often. So take advantage of being in New York City, the toughness of going up against this opponent, and make the most of it. As Bird goes sky high and draws yet another foul against Ossining.
Yeah, and great sportsmanship by Mateo Taylor-Lowe as he helped him off the deck.
Foul went against Dylan Bryant. Dylan Butler is not playing in this game, as that is going to be his third. And Bird making the most of his opportunities today.
Yeah, the sophomore is so active. He's long, he's energetic, he communicates. He just has a bounce to his step. I could see great things coming from him the next couple of years.
And that's exactly what the coaching staff is eyeing, especially with some of the depth they have in the front court, that next year he could really be a focal point. And he had not made a field goal entering this game on the season. He was just 0 for 3 from the field, but he has surpassed that tally and then some.
Yeah, and Layden Brown has checked into the game. Highest GPA on the team. Great student athlete. So it's good to see him get some game action here with 3 minutes left to go.
This is the luxury of having a sizable lead. Joe Lodes can give playing time to players that normally during the flow of the season won't get a number of looks. As We're seeing that 2-3 zone being implemented here for Cardinal Hayes.
The challenge for Ossining is that there really isn't a drop-off when Coach Lodes substitutes. He's got a string of talent that goes 10, 11, sometimes even 12 deep.
Well, you look at Brown grabbed the rebound, the quick outlet, and Rodriguez finishes it on the opposite end. So Rodriguez with 3 buckets here in the second half to go along with a pair of free throws. They're going to get on the board again, Ossining, with Nate able to slither his way inside. Romero able to dial it up long range right in front of his own bench. 99 points on the board for Cardinal Hayes. And a foul is going to give Brito a trip to the free throw line.
When a lefty shooter has a stroke like that, it just looks better. It looks better than when a right-handed shoots the ball. The first name that came to mind was Mullen. I mean, he's got that backspin, that follow through, that rotation. He's got a really, really pure stroke.
Those southpaws know how to stand out. Well, I think Chris Mullen was a wise choice given his ties to New York City, too. So I don't think anybody would disagree if that was the first name that popped up. Could have went with Sam Perkins, the lefty specialist who went on to play for the Seattle Supersonics and was with the Indiana Pacers as well with Chris Mullen. Product of North Carolina. Romero again. And how about them apples? Emmanuel Romero puts Cardinal Hayes across the century mark with a pair of threes. He had not had an opportunity to score in the first 3 contests, and today has come through with 8 points.
Well, I'll tell you, Coach Lodes may have found an additional weapon should a team throw a zone against him.
A zone breaker in terms of extending the offense. And regardless of how this game has flowed, if you're Joe Lodes and this team averaging just 55 points a game, looking for your offense to break out, looking for somebody not named Fields, and Layden Brown is going to get on the board as well. So his first basket of the season, as everybody filling up the stat sheet. Bryant unable to finish. And Rodriguez with a minute to go is going to look to try to milk some clock before Bryant interrupts. Brito absorbs some contact from behind. Here's another look at the opportunity for Brito. Rodriguez was fronting him, and then Cone came in from the backside. Brito, the 5'8" senior. Who has been responsible for the bulk of their scoring this afternoon. As he has 9 of their 25 points. Here's Cone, and his jumper was deflected by Nate. So Serbone's gonna get a clear path before Cone says, not on my watch. 25 seconds to go, and these guys hustling like they're down big as Romero makes it 3 triples.
When Romero gets his feet set, it's over.
And that floater swatted away by Rodriguez. The final 10 seconds left in this one. And Romero going for a foursome. And that is going to do it. 107-25, the final score in favor of Cardinal Hayes. As that man, Amadou Barry, leading the way with 22 points. We'll step aside, come back with post-game reaction and our player of the game here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
my second base language, which is Spanish. La cultura es todo. La cultura de Cardinal Hayes define el éxito. What I just said right now is that when you think about a Hayesman, you think of excellence. Excellence is culture, and that's what we're about.
Now is a great time.
Back here inside Cardinal Hayes Memorial High School, 107-25 the final, as the Cardinals cruise past the Lions of Ossining. We are now joined by the player of the game, Amadou Barry, who led the way with 22 points and did plenty of heavy lifting early on, with 16 of them coming in the first half. Amadou, we were talking with Joe Lodes, and one of the things that he mentioned is you've been calling for the basketball. You have been saying, hey, feed me the ball because I could do damage. How big was it for you to get involved early and help set the tone in this one?
I mean, it was very crucial. I felt as if you would have gave me the ball early, that we would have gotten an early lead, and that I could do a lot of stuff with the ball. I could feed my teammates. I could score. I could do a lot of things.
Yeah, Amadou, one of the things I noticed about your game is you were finishing inside, you were hitting some mid-range, and then you were stepping out from three and hitting a couple of those shots. Tell us a little bit about your game and your development and where you want to be for the season, your goals.
I feel like overall I have an overall game, and I could do everything. For my season, goals, I don't know. Just gonna play. I don't know.
Well, from a big picture perspective, at least for your team, you get your first win of the season. You lost some close games. How important was this to get the offense, Amadou, going? I mean, you came in, you averaged 55 points a game. You pretty much doubled that as a group today. What this could mean for you and your teammates moving forward?
Yeah, we needed this win. I felt as if those 3 losses was pretty bad. Yeah, we needed that win, and we're just going to start with this one and go on, be raised on Friday.
Well, you're surrounded, we should note for the audience, by all of your teammates. And what does it say about this group? Branded Birds of the world, Emmanuel Romero knocking down all these threes, that just about everybody's number that was called was able to step up over the course of this contest.
I mean, yeah, they was waiting their turn, and they got into the game, and they did what they had to do, knocking down shots, playing defense, grabbing boards. So, yeah, so they was ready.
Well, Amadou, congratulations on quite the performance, and I'll let you celebrate with your teammates. Absolutely. As you can see, quite the scene here in the Bronx. 22 points to lead the way for Amadou Barry, as he was able to put his stamp all over this 107-25 victory over Ossining. And he said he wanted the basketball early because he knew he could do plenty of damage. He answered the call, but really from an overall standpoint, the defense set up the offense beautifully in this game, and who knows what this means for them moving forward, but it seemed as if they needed this type of performance just from a morale booster.
100%. You saw the joy and jubilation in the team. It's almost like someone took a pin, stuck it in a balloon, the balloon popped, they took a deep breath, they relaxed, and now they're ready to play some basketball.
107-25 in a game that they led wire to wire. The transition opportunities created by the pressure defense. And we're going to walk you through some highlights. Maybe the younger generation for Cardinal Hayes on hand, but it was defense. Malik Fields to the man we just called our player of the game, Amadou Barry. And that was just the beginning. Yancey beating up the rims. Everybody that had a hand in this game was able to make Ossining pay on the offensive end, including Cone also, and then Emmanuel Romero with not one, not two, but 3 triples. And Cone even right at the end of the game, making his defense stand out. As that is going to wrap up our coverage here in the Bronx. Our executive producer, Ben Turchin, technical director, Chris Sweeney. For Andrew Deloya, I'm Lance Meadow saying so long from Cardinal Hayes High School. The final score, 107-25 over Ossining, as the Cardinals get their first victory of the season here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.